Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are, Saturday afternoon, 21st of August, episode 54, not 40, 54. We're rushing through the numbers now, past 50 a few shows ago and up to number 54 now. So things are flying along. Sadly, we're still in lockdown and we're going to be for a while, given the idiocy that we just saw today in Melbourne. It's not going to help us, not going to help the story. So what I want to start with is let's kick off with some of the famous 54s that I've found. Not a bad little selection there. Let's bring up Lovey. How are you, mate? Welcome back.
Mate, how are you?
I'm pretty good for a Saturday.
Geez, there's a couple of decent 54s in there. I didn't mind the old Metcalf one. The old
Yes.
For the Seahawks. He's the best one of a lot of them for me.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a unit.
It seems to be it's going to be one of those, as we get up higher and higher in the chain, it's going to be harder and harder to find some numbers. So until we get to show 99, I think once we get past Gretzky, I don't think there's much more we're going to have in store there.
I think you're going to have to start. We're going to have to start working out. So there'll be someone in the world that's worn 100, stupidly, something, right?
Yeah, we might have a bit of local footy. I reckon someone might have worn 100.
I already have a 55 in view for you for the next pod, mate. He's ex-NBA. I think you'll know who it is, but let's wait. Let's leave it. Perfect. I think we'll leave it for now. But I hope you don't mind the backdrop, mate. Given the stupid protests that occurred this afternoon, and look, you get the theory. I understand the frustrations and all the rest of it, but I'm getting jabbed next weekend or the 31st, whenever that is. Look, I know, and we're all sick of this and not having patience and losing it, but those protests help no one, right? I'm actually feeling pretty lucky. So I went for a 4-hour walk this afternoon, this morning over to this afternoon, just for the sake of it. I probably broke a couple of rules by being out 4 hours, but just kept walking. The day was good for it. I feel pretty good about that. And you see in the backyard there, the old Australian backyard with the clothesline and the lemon tree out there. I won't use the lemon tree during the podcast, I promise. But I think it's you can make your fun times as much as it's a pain in the ass right now, as best you can. I know it's bloody tough, but you just got to keep plugging away and thinking up with different things, I suppose.
Yeah, you sure do. Look, I think it's fantastic, mate. You've taken the podcast outdoors into a good classic Aussie backyard, mate, with the Hills hoist in the background there. Looks like no one's done any washing because there's nothing on the line for a while. But great to see a trampoline and a kid out there having fun, mate. It's great to see.
Yeah. Oh, look, you just do what you can. You do what you can as best you can, and hopefully people get vaccinated as soon as we can, and we get out of this. Sort of crap.
And just a shout out to Berkey, who's enjoying the scenery too, mate. He's got a very busy afternoon, mate. He's re-stumping and redoing a whole deck around a pool, so that's a tough exercise, but it makes for a ripping bonfire. Pulling all the old stuff out and setting it alight later.
Well, the worst part is, mate, he's got the weather for it to go back and do it again tomorrow too. So bad luck, mate. Rest up and slave labour again tomorrow on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on 54 before as our show number, and here's a guy that's probably never made 50 in his life other than his age. Let's bring up the great Noddy, I think we're going to call him now, the Monty Meanderer. There he is. Welcome back,
Nut. You blokes. You blokes have got fucked. Considering we're in lockdown, the worst thing about lockdown is the amount of time it gives you blokes to come up with shit about me.
That's all right,
So
mate. You
lot
provide
of
some
blokes
good
wanna-
comic relief.
You're
A
the
lot of
shit
people
giving
wanna get-
factory.
A lot of people want to get out of lockdown for various reasons. You two don't, because it just gives you time and space to work on your shite about me.
Mate,
We'll always warm up the crowd for you to deliver.
you keep giving us the cheese, and we'll keep on nibbling away, mate. That's all we're saying.
That's fine, mate. But just if you want any input or help or tutoring about how to run a video or a photo when you go for a walk,
Don't
feel
ask
free
you.
to. Well, mate, what was the go with your bald head?
Mate, deliberately so.
Mate, I thought I
It's
was
all
looking
about
at an
solar.
egg.
You know what? I'm trying to get us to the renewable industry too, in the energy space. Look at the head. It should
Right.
drive solar off the top of it, mate. It's
The ultimate solar for sure.
Yeah, it was fantastic photography. If you want to advertise the egg industry as well, what better way to go about it? It was brilliant.
Daisy Pierce wants to throw it back, mate. Whenever you're ready.
Oh, I tell you.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
Whenever you're ready.
Now you've stuffed yourself, because I reckon
Yeah.
Aaron alone will come round your house and shoot you for saying
You
that
might
stuff. That's just
You might have just changed the episode 55's guest. Sadly, it's not going to be Daisy Pierce.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Anymore,
Daisy is more than happy Daisy to come and pick apart me like you blokes do. Now, just a quick number 54.
hold on.
I missed the stuff.
Do you honestly
What?
think she's going to come around now after that?
Yeah.
Daisy's a big enough girl to stand up for herself and take on a bit
then
of
you've gone
constructive
there
criticism.
too, have you?
Oh,
Righto.
yeah, good on you.
Well,
Use my words.
given you missed the first 5 minutes of the show, cousin, we kind of held it and delayed it because you
Oh, yeah.
you didn't have
Here we
you
go.
didn't have less than 6 hours notice to get your computer set up. So welcome back anyway. But give us your 54, mate. Who you got?
Well, mate, as a Melbourne supporter, you would know, or you should know, a bloke who started his career at the Demons in number 54.
I left him out for Heave.
The
Absolutely.
Hoover, Brent Hoover.
Epping's finest.
Epping's
Now-
finest.
Well,
Before
second
we get-
finest. That's the cut though.
So before we get off the
Yeah.
numbers, we had episode 53 last night.
We did.
Now, there was easily in the top 3 players of all time. Guess who wore 53 3 times for their football club?
Can we get a clue, mate?
Oh, I just gave it to you. Regularly rated in the best 3 footballers of all time.
Jeez, you stumped me on that one. Cuz,
Lee Matthews?
Correct.
well done.
Correct. They lost
Good
his
get.
number 3 jumper about 1972 in the club room somewhere. So they, the word was that they only had a 53 available for 3 weeks, and they gave that to him.
Oh, that's a great bit of trivia.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
done.
good. As you said earlier, Lovey, that often happened back in the day when there wasn't jumpers all over the joint. They'd go, "Oh, I've ripped my jumper," and they go, "There, mate, you're 58." No, I don't wear number 58. Or you can go nude if you like. Okay, I'll go 58. I'll go 58.
Well, back then, so you remember back then, your jumpers, it probably took Grandma bloody 2 weeks to knit a new one together anyway for the footy club. So, you know,
It was great, actually. Remembering back in that when a player came off with a blood rule or whatever, a ripped jumper, he'd run out in a new number, and everyone's like, "Mate, who's this bloke? Who's 38?" It's like,
Yeah.
"Well, who's 58?" You know, it was always generally a pretty high number.
Yeah.
I think Johnny Platten was one of the highest numbers at 44, and obviously Sean Wren stepped it up with 52.
52.
oh, hang on.
Who else have we got higher than that, boys?
Well, do we want to spoil
Played
one of
ones,
them? Do we want to spoil one for number 58 or not?
Yeah, let us in.
Okay, so here we go.
Can we use
You
it?
got-
Can we use
We're
it?
using
You're
it
going to
now.
come on.
We're using it now. Bugger it. Spiro Corcomelis, number 58.
Yes.
And what was the other jumper number Trevor Barker had besides number 1?
Oh, when he started, he would have been high. So
Mhm.
are you assuming 58?
Number 60.
Number 60.
Number 60. And I'll give you another piece of trivia. I played in a grand final for Aquinas many, many years ago.
Yep.
And the 2 best players in our game both wore number 99. It was just ridiculous. So our number 99 and their number 99 were rated the best 2 players in that grand final. Never seen it before in my life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty
A guy a guy who
Just to
played
max out at
DLR with
60.
me.
Yeah.
His number was 55, and I think he would have played maybe 4 twos games in my whole time there, and played seniors when they were DLR up and about, and 55. I said, why is that? And he goes, just like it.
Well, so when I started out playing football at Ringwood, senior footy at Ringwood, the 16-year-old little maggot, they just gone, we'll give him number 55. Yeah, cool. So by round 9 that year, we'll bump him up to number 50 because he's earned it. He's earned respect. He's now got number 50. I wore number 50 for the following 2 years after that. And I said when I was 9, by the time I was 19, I said, have I earned a bit more respect than number 50 now? And they've gone, give us till halfway through the year, son. Number 46. And then I finally got to number 12 not long after that. So it was pretty funny, though. I didn't mind the way that those jumpers progressed as you went up the chain.
Yeah, did very. Cuz, just a little touch on your background there, mate. Good to see you got the old Reggie Didge in the background, mate. Anything in it, or?
Yeah, what would you like for dinner, boys? Because I'm cooking tonight. Let's have a look what we've got.
It looks like a bar fridge, mate.
Yeah. Is it full of piss or? Oh,
what's on the menu? What would you like? What would you like, boys?
I think it's time you went shopping, cuz. There's not much in there, mate.
No, I shopped Thursday night. We've got our fridge, the main fridge, which is in the kitchen, which is over there. That's also got a little freezer in the bottom of it. So
what's that? What's the purpose of that fridge?
Oh, when you've got 4 adults in the house, mate, and Jack eats you out of house at home, as does the youngest one.
Jack or you? I know you've got worms.
Not me, mate.
So...
Not me. Yeah, I've got worms. Shh, keep that quiet, though. This is good. This is good TV for the viewers.
Incredibly disappointing. There's not a cold Melbourne bitter in there, mate. But
yeah,
yeah, I know. I got in trouble last night, so just want to put the discretion thing up that I had I shared an alcoholic beverage with my eldest son, and that got me a stern talking to from you know who. Right. So he must be obeyed.
Younger brother.
Yeah, I wish I had a younger brother, but that's another discussion.
No, his younger brother gave you the 3rd degree.
Oh, no. Who do you reckon gave me the 3rd degree?
Yeah, well, know your rules.
I know. I slipped up very poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Drink responsibly, cuz. So
well, he drank it very responsibly and very quickly.
Well, just on that, I mean, guys, that's kind of how it worked, mate, back in the day. And why shouldn't you continue that tradition of having a beer with this 17-year-old boy who's about to turn 18? He's ready for a beer with his dad.
And he can probably hear me, but to his credit, he's always asked and been honest and upfront about it. I can't speak obviously your kids because I know they're all just about legal now, but he's never pushed the envelope. He's asked and said, I'm going to this party. Do you mind if I do this? And we've said probably not, but as long as you behave accordingly, we let it slide a little bit.
That obviously wasn't last night.
No.
Let's be clear on
that. Is that him in the background?
No party before they send
party
someone
last night.
Is that him in the background, Glenn?
Yeah, they're having because we live in such a big house, mate. They're having a basketball tournament in the hallway.
So he's not half cut. He's not yelling, and he's already half cut again today. You haven't been irresponsible again. Okay.
If we did a podcast at about 1:00 in the morning, then you'll hear Jack yelling as he plays FIFA with his mates.
Yeah.
Or
he's watching West Ham get done. Yeah.
Well, he's pretty happy with their form at the moment. They were 1-4-2 their first game, so you take that for what it's worth.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. All right, we decided to jump on and have a little bit of a chat about our sport and what's going on, and obviously we kicked off the finals round, last round of the season with a great game in the end. After we got off, I'm sure you guys caught the last quarter. Well, hopefully you did, because it was a great last quarter of footy. Cuz, thoughts?
Oh, mate, speaking to the pocket a bit here, last of the big spinners, I took a multi, so took Port to win, took Tom Papler to kick 2 goals, and took Hawthorn to beat Richmond. So pretty happy with put up the disclaimer, mate. Right. Pretty happy with the fucking draw, Richmond Hawthorn. And Jack.
Now we have to gamble responsibly. We're drinking responsibly and gambling responsibly.
Jack, the wise man of the house, he goes, Dad, why do you punt on just the horses? going to the multis. I said, well, there you go, mate. There's my $2,500. It's gone down the Googler. He goes,
responsible serving of alcohol, I think, should be the other warning there.
Can you get the next warning up?
Yeah, exactly.
And
you're worrying about having a beer with them. You're teaching them the
discretion
punt.
advised.
Yeah, teaching them the punt.
In all honesty, I actually rated the Bulldogs up until last night. I had found a way to get over the line last night, but I think they could go out, bang, straight sets.
Especially if they're playing us, mate.
Oh, look, and I'm not being arrogant about Essendon. Sydney, GWS.
No, lids off, mate. Brisbane's flogging West Coast right now. Get on it. Get on the Bombers.
Form's form. Good form is good form. Like Essendon go in with no pressure. That's my only concern about your mob, as you've had a great year and been pretty consistent, but you probably need...
Yeah, I reckon I'll politely...
You maybe need a loss.
On Cuz, Aaron. Cuz, I'll politely disagree with you on the Melbourne aspect. I think Melbourne they're rock solid. I think they're a pretty solid unit. I think I would back them before Geelong in a final right now. I suspect after last night you found a new joint premiership favourite because of the fact they get 2 home finals. But if there's... I tell you what, the bigger threats are coming from 6th, 7th and 8th for the first time in a long time, if ever, in this top 8 system.
And I think
teams, 6th, 7th and 8th, the 6th, 7th and 8th teams right now have got far greater form than 3 of the top 5 right now, as we speak.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. Look,
and if you're going to get upsets, this is it.
Watching that game last night, I watched the first half again. Obviously, we were doing the potty last night. And by the way, as great show last night, well organised, mate. They were fantastic.
Yeah, you did well, mate.
Had on. Watching that game last night, like you, obviously, I watch Port if they're on TV or they're playing the Bombers and whatever. But a couple of blokes last night who, Ollie Wines is a star. And just watching him, just a star. And the other bloke, for a bloke who's, I think, probably 32, Travis Boak, 2 of the goals he kicked last night were just classic, I'm the captain, jump on my back, boys, and I'll get you through.
Yeah, the moment...
No, he's not the captain.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
Oh, Jonas is the captain, sorry.
Was captain. But, he's one of those guys that's been captain for a long time, relieved the pressure, and now he's just playing unbelievable footy still. I mean, that goal from the boundary line with a set shot, I know it gets done all the time, but you still got to execute it. And... timing of the game. To be honest, as a Melbourne supporter, I'm worried about Port for sure. I mean, if we have to play them over there, which you never know where and how that's going to happen these days. This is probably one year that the games could be anywhere. Let's face it.
I'll tell you what, mate. You know what? You beat Geelong tonight. You don't play Port Adelaide till the grand final at wherever they're going to play that grand final.
Yep.
And I'd almost, without not putting pressure on you as a Mel, I'd almost, like Lovey said, I'd back you in that. If you don't have to play them to the grand final, I think the way your systems are in place now, you could probably beat them.
Yep. The thing I love about next week will be that Sydney will have to play GWS, so one of those clown teams will be out anyway from up north, so that's good. That's one down.
Yep. And look, the other thing too, a big factor, and we all know we know and watch and love sport ourselves, doesn't matter what sport is. A lot of the sides that have been the sort of 2nd, 3rd or 4th pick in the market in terms of favouritism for the flag are getting injuries to key players.
Yeah.
Like Bruce for the Doggies, whether you like him as a bloke or a player or not, he's a 2-goal-a-game man. Stewart for Geelong, that means that's their sort of 3rd-up defender. He's injured. The one that I was interested in, and I'd like to get your boys' views on it. What are your thoughts on Dixon's lack of ability to kick a goal last night? Looked like getting involved, and how big is the Georgiades injury going to hurt him?
I think the Georgiades injuries hurts them because that's probably why Dixon's not getting so many shots on, and that's probably why he no longer has to be the big banana. Yep. I think the only thing that'll hurt Port kicking a score next week is absolutely if Georgiades is out, that does put a lot of 2 versus 1 pressure onto Big Charlie. Tell you what, there was one contest late in the game last night where Charlie, for the first time I'd seen in a long time, charged through that pack, and I thought he was going to legitimately kill someone. But that's what they need, and that's what they want, and that's what he should be doing. He should be banging through that pack. If I'm 6'6" and I weigh 110, and I've got a 20-meter run up, if I'm not causing carnage, well, I'm actually not doing my job as a key forward.
Yeah.
That's never changed over all the decades.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point.
Be strong, be hard, and lead. They'll be all right. You know what? Because they've got some of the best small to medium forwards going around.
And smart small forwards too.
Yeah, he just needs to be a contestant. He just needs to contest Charlie next week. If Georgiades is out, that's fine. Everyone knows where the ball's going.
Yeah. I think it's look, it's not ideal for Port. You want your players in absolute cherry form, ready to go into that final. But if anything, I think it's maybe even a little bit comforting that they still got over the line without any real impact from Charlie. But what he did with a little bit of frustration was do exactly what a big forward's supposed to do and crunch a pack and get the other blokes in the game. Yep. And that's exactly what we've seen with Ben Brown, and how he's got form was just create the contest, mate. Get the contest, let the little blokes do the work, and now he started clunking a few marks. So
all the good,
he's had a bit of confidence.
Yeah, all the good teams in form right now have got one of these things, right? So we've had Peter Wright stand up the last 3 weeks. He's crashing packs, clunking marks, doing the right thing. GWS, Himmelberg has just been absolutely amazing in the last month. Buddy's back. Buddy's actually hitting packs a lot more than what he ever used to. And then you look at Port obviously with Dixon. But, Melbourne have got Big Charlie, Big Benny Brown floating around. Geelong have got Tomahawk all the time. If those guys are in form, you more often than not win games of football.
And look at the Ben Brown thing, as Goodwin said probably 5 or 6 weeks ago when he sort of first came in, if someone said to you the way he was in form, is he going to be okay? He's come back from a knee, whatever. It was like a horse, first start, second start after a spell. Each game, as you said, he made a contest, provide an option, often taking marks up on the wing. With a bloke like Jackson, who's been an amazing, and he's probably one of the shortest price favourites for the Rising Star, it's allowed him to do his thing. And as these big blokes make a contest, as you said, for Melbourne, you've got blokes like Petrarca and Oliver is on boards, and you've got your small forwards like Cozzy Pickett and those sort of guys doing fantastic jobs. We're really good at keeping it in. And I'm with you, Lovey. I think the old asterisks back in the day, you can't win it from 6th, 7th, 8th. I reckon the 6th. I reckon you can.
You can.
Only because, or maybe not win it, but I think you can go deeper than what people think you can. Because once you win one, and the way it's going to be with games and where they're played, and you're going to play a fair few finals if you're playing the right sides, I think it's going to be a good thing. Because obviously with finals, a few finals possibly being played in WA, the way it's looking now, there's not going to be many WA or no WA teams in it.
Yeah, which is great because they're a shit state. Hey,
shout out to our friend Mark McGowan, who's coming in episode 56.
I do not want little Napoleon jumping on our bloody podcast. He's another one of those whackers that can piss off.
What chance they succeed, you reckon? WA just cut themselves off and just float away.
Cut it off. Give them the buzzsaw. Cut it off.
Just on that, though, they're not both completely out, though, are they?
No. So if the Eagles win today, they leapfrog Essendon and GWS into the 8 tonight. Yep,
they've got a low percentage.
Yep, low percentage. They go above both GWS and Essendon.
Correct.
Freo, if they win, go above both GWS and Essendon, but stay below West Coast, I think, on percentage.
So they are realistically at both a chance to actually make the 8.
They still are.
As it stands now.
They still are. Freo is more realistic because they're playing St Kilda rather than, I suspect Brisbane should torch West Coast after half time. But I haven't got access to the current score. I imagine West Coast are hanging in, but
I'll give it to you, mate. Give me
11 points up the Lions.
Yeah.
18-minute
That's
mark.
it's absolutely
7-8
it's not
now.
absolutely lay down as there. It's a case of, we need results still to go our way a little bit as an Essendon supporter. Absolutely.
But that said, the good thing with our percentage, Lovey, as you touched on earlier, I like the fact we control our own destiny.
Well,
we
win.
We
Don't
win.
care. Just win.
Yeah, just win.
Simple formula.
Yeah. Do we give any? I'm not sure your thoughts on milestone games. Do we give Carlton any chance of beating GWS?
No. None. On that note, then we always hate retirement, but I want to give. I always think it's nice to see Ashbury, Burgoyne, and Betts. They're just 3 call-out players that always love watching them.
Yep.
So it's crappy time of year, for retirements and all the rest of it. But they're 3 absolute guns of our game that, it's great. They've been great for their own football clubs and good for the game. And, I think, is there any more? Are there any more?
Hooker?
Yeah, Hooks, he's called it, hasn't he? Absolutely.
Look, obviously, hand on heart as an Essendon supporter. Look, we all know what went on with the drug scandal, but he was the first bloke to sign on after that. Could have got good coin going back home to WA, either with Freo West Coast and other teams as well. I thought he's an amazing law bloke. And the other guy who I thought, a bit of a journeyman in the end, played a couple of clubs, bit of a ball magnet, was Tommy Rockcliffe, who played Brisbane and Port.
Yep.
Just a ball magnet. Probably played
one of those.
About 150
he was an absolute ball pig, yeah.
Did you hear what he said? Like, he's actually a Benalla boy, like obviously Jody being from Benalla. Do you hear what he said when he got up and spoke before the group? He goes, well, boys, not much has changed really. Been in the system for about 13 years. I came here as a fat boy from Benalla, and I'll probably go back as a fat boy from which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Sure is. Just a quick couple of shout-outs here. I want to mention probably one of the greatest Burks, Sarah Burke.
Yes, Sarah Burke.
Who's obviously very excited that we're chatting sport. So I think she's tuned straight off. Obviously, she loves her music, and sadly says they can't all be music shows. So we are changing this up and doing a Saturday sports show.
Put the disclaimer up, Aaron.
There's definitely a couple here that I want to chat. Obviously, Dave Cosma's a little bit more confident in his Bombers. We just think West Coast and Freo are making up the numbers. And
He's only got one job to do, Dave Cosma. Get to the fish and chip shop and just find the jar of pickled onions, mate. Don't be worried about this.
Just on the pickled onion debate and that discussion, I do have to bring this one up. Dave has really gone out on a limb here, and I know probably none of us have given Carlton a chance. Let's be realistic, right? Dave's thrown up the challenge that if Carlton beat GWS, he's on the onions. So the pickled onion discussion continues, and Lovey, it could be a group sitting.
Mate, I tell you what, we'll have to do it like Lady in the Tramp if that's the case. If he has to eat 6 pickled onions, we'll do it like Lady in the Tramp.
Oh, mate.
It'll be very
arm and arm, just arm and arm, meet at the middle. It'd be great.
So, looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
I can just say it now. When I next speak to the jeweler, how you going, Daddy? Goes, I was watching the news the other night. I saw Lovey on there with another bloke eating pickled onions. And they're getting locked up by the police. I don't know nothing about it. Dad. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing to do with lockdown rules. It was just carnal knowledge.
Yeah, just to highlight that game, 7:40 tonight. We're going to have to tune in now. I'm going to have the other screen running during Melbourne and the Cats. Is Carlton up against the Giants. And the Giants are sitting at $1.29 and Carlton $3.63. So bet responsibly on that one. But the Blues, I've never barracked harder for the Blues tonight, let me tell you. So look out.
So, I must admit, because he has given you a bit of lip, Lovey, so it would be a bit of karma that Eddie Betts and the Blues found a way to get up.
It would be, but I tell you what, Hawthorn weren't fair cop. Hawthorn weren't stinking it up too much when they played the Dogs last week. The odds were about the same for the game, but I still thought 15th place Hawks, yeah, they should get beaten. Carlton, given they're sitting 13th, they're the stinkiest 13th club I've seen in a long, long time. And if you're getting done by 95 points for one of your best of all times, 300th, Eddie's playing his 350th tonight. What are they? Get done by 145 points, or what's going on? They're an absolute laughing stock, that mob. The only club that I find really funny at the moment is the one that's now in court trying to work out who their bloody members are. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What's going on there?
Who cares? Who cares, cuz? They're a crap club. No, they're done. It's hilarious.
I think if you barrack for Collingwood, you're generally concerned right now. But if you don't, everyone loves this. Everyone loves this situation, right?
Well, how good on Footy Classified on Wednesday night when you got Eddie Everywhere hosting the show, to his rights, possibly the next Carlton coach, depends who you listen to.
Talk about grub.
Caro. So, Ross, what about Ross Lyon's comment? He goes,
grub. He is a grub.
Did you hear what he said about Collingwood, though? He goes, oh, look, as soon as someone says with all respect, that means you've got no respect, by the way. Yep. He goes, with all respect, Collingwood's probably not the place I'd want to be at the moment. That's basically, and I've paraphrased a bit, that's basically what he said. Well, Eddie's jaw hit the table when he said that.
Well, I think that's because he didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Rossi, I think he's signing at Carlton from all reports. So let's see how that one rolls out.
I tell you what, the way that Ross Lyon handled himself on Wednesday night regarding Carlton was just disgusting.
Well, he
Mark Harvey's still got stab wounds in the back of his rear. They're still showing.
Yeah. And just quietly,
you know.
Speaking of the great Mark Harvey, did you watch him on the front bar on Wednesday night?
I did. I watched snippets.
Jodie was telling me that Jodie said back in the day she had a poster of Mark up on the wall, and she goes, "I just wanted to be that girl on the other side of the petition." I said, "Jeebus, I wish you had told me that, but I'll keep that in the pocket." How good was his hair? And I'm saying that with tongue firm for the majority of his footy career.
I can't. It looked like a
mop of yours back in the day, cuz bright red and little bit of length at the back. But anyway, let's move on to the hair jokes.
Take your head off, mate. Show me your hair.
No hair jokes happening right now. So
same.
Let's run with just a quick shout out to Eddie Betts as well. I mean, you couldn't get a bigger superstar, could you? Really? I mean, let's think about where Eddie's been and what he's done. It's just an incredible career. So
absolutely. The other the other one I want to call out too is Basher Hooley.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yes, brilliant on that is another one that's done incredible things for our game. And we'll talk about multiculturalism. Indigenous is one thing, but he's just been an incredible asset to the league. And I saw some photos of him when he was recruited as a kid. And God, hasn't he grown just as an amazing man and mentor? And he's just going to be brilliant for life after footy. And I hope we get a lot more kids come through the system because of Basher Hooley, and he's got a academy as well that he's running, and there's going to be more kids come through this system. So can't wait for it.
Could Basher go again somewhere? No, because
he doesn't want
to. In an interview on Triple
you wouldn't entertain it as a football club. You wouldn't entertain.
A week ago, he said, "I've got plenty in me, and I could go again."
No.
Well, there's probably a few that could realistically. There's probably a few that could realistically play another season. Eddie Betts is one. Sean Bergeron's another one. He could still play one more year somewhere.
No,
they're not going to. I know that, but neither's Basher Hooley.
No,
so
but
let's be honest, right?
No, I don't think they could last the rigors of another football season myself. I don't see it.
Yeah. And just on that, another player retiring, David Asprey from Richmond, triple premiership player. At the end of the day, goes down as that. Was one of those just journey players. He wasn't an absolute standout, but just played his role, did his role after Rance went and took off. Another shout out to him.
Well, he'd have 2 Norm Smith medals if Dustin Martin wasn't so dominant.
Yeah. Yep.
Who's that, Asprey or Basher?
Asprey. That's how good he was.
Well, I reckon Basher came second in the votes for both of them.
Yeah, so Basher for one of them, Asprey for the other 2.
Yeah, I think Basher surely was very close on a couple of those. But some good news this year is done and dusted.
It's Tiger time.
Mick will be happy. He doesn't have to do anything to his hair this year. So he's another clown that's made some outrageous bets over the time supporting his beloved Tigers.
He's never eaten 6 pickled onions. Hey,
no, you're right.
But one of our good friends, Eddie Zammit,
can we get him on?
I dare him to make a T-shirt with that exact cartoon that was up 30 seconds ago and distribute it. I'm happy to pay. I'll be happy to pay $50 for one of those T-shirts right there, right in his skyrocket. Don't care. I'll pay it.
Done and
I'll
dusted.
wear it and wear it and wear it.
Maybe that should be their motto for next year. Who knows?
That? Wear it.
Done and dusted. The Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
They're on the rebuild now. Let's see how quickly they can. Just another shout out we got is the great Silk, Shawnee Burgoyne. I know we just probably touched on him before, but I mean, I just want to play this little clip because right down to the last minute of the game, he was still impactful. So let's just watch this.
Coaching career for now, Ed.
For now, as a hawk. So the umpire's taken 2 seconds off the clock with the bounce. Anyway, away we go again. In dispute.
Took a sip of the drink there, Aaron.
Free kick to Arts.
Here we go.
24 seconds. 22. No time on. Play on as Arts goes long up towards full forward. The flyers come from everywhere. Revolt from behind. Off the hands of the pack. Here we go. Graham got hit. Lynch twisting and turning. He's got the ball. Off the ground. It's a goal. It's a goal. You're not going to believe this. It's a goal. Well, Sean Burgoyne has touched it. Let's have a look at this. It's going to be a draw. If he's kicked this, it's a goal. Umpire David Roden says, let's go. Oh, it's a goal. It's a goal. Look at that.
Review underway.
Off the back.
Revolt.
Jack Revolt has just got his boot on it. Didn't touch Stack. That's all clear. And Sean Burgoyne touches the ball when it is over the line. We're going to have a draw. Can you believe it? Richmond have kicked the last 5 goals.
Looking at this angle, we can see the ball was a legal kick and has been touched before after crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on the scoreboard.
Oh, that is unbelievable.
Decision on the scoreboard. Everyone at home can hear it. Scores are level at the MCG. It's a goal to Jack Revolt. Richmond have kicked 5 goals since the 21-minute mark of this final term, and scores are level. 12-11-83 apiece.
Jack's kicked the last.
Obviously, that's where it ended up with a draw. Incredible. Incredible.
That is dead set bullschlarking. Can you imagine? After 407 games, that is literally your last act in your career as a footballer.
Yes, he did. He did everything he could, mate. He did everything he could, but it just didn't get it over the line.
Good to see that in that vision. Another insipid effort by the ex-Gold Coast forward.
Oh, here we go.
Money well spent, Tigers. Beautiful.
Got him 2 flags. He's got 2 danglies around his neck, mate.
Sure has.
So has Mario Bortolotto, mate.
Guess what? Without Lynch, they don't win the premierships. Simple as that.
Yeah, very true. I reckon true.
You reckon? I reckon number 4's had a fair bit to do with the last 2 flags they've won.
He didn't kick an extra 42 goals on average those 2 seasons, mate. So shut up. No go.
So the Geelong game, the Geelong grand final last year, what was the discerning factor in them winning the game last year, the grand final?
That's all right.
That's when premierships are won.
That's a 2-hour window of football where anyone can win it, cuz. You've got to go the whole year, mate. Who's kicking all those goals and presenting like and Lynch did? If they didn't have Lynch, they don't play finals football. They don't play a grand final. It's that simple. It is that simple. And you look at the way they structure up, you need Tom Lynch in that team. He doesn't have to kick 4 or 5 a game, kicks his 1 or 2, presents. We just had the discussion before, mate. You've got a good key forward that can present.
No, but how he presents as to how, say, a Buddy presents, as to how even a Dixon presents, even as to how a 2-metre Peter presents.
Hold on.
Lynch
you put Franklin and Lynch in the same conversation.
No, I'm just saying as a big forward, as a tall forward.
Yeah.
I think at times he is very reliant on the delivery.
I don't think you win in this one, cuz.
No, it's not a win thing. It's an opinion, so it's not a right or wrong answer.
Yeah,
it's
I
an
know.
Opinion thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Righto, let's just touch on the Swans because I think a lot of people have just totally ruled them out. But they obviously just dismantled the Suns, which is no big deal. But he still smacked them by nearly 100 today. And the Swans are now sitting 5th. Buddy's come into form. I'm not sure how many he kicked today. You can't write off Rusty's Swannies.
No, you can't.
And if they play Geelong in Geelong, which Geelong want that to happen,
yep,
Sydney would almost be happier than Geelong. They've probably got one of the best records against Geelong in Geelong.
Have that conversation with yourself 3 times really, really quickly, cuz.
It'd be very confusing. But they actually have. Again, when they had that game, their home game recently against, was it West Coast? Who we all know they're not the best travellers when they're up and about. But Sydney have actually got a pretty good record. But look, that said, I'm not saying he's the best player in the comp. He's a developing footballer. But I think they'll miss the Lizard a bit. Blakey's been quite good and quite a drive off halfback for them. And I'm not saying he's won them games, but he's actually scored in games as an attacking halfback as well. But look,
so if they're sitting fifth, who do they play next week?
No, so they'll end up 6th, I think. If Brisbane win, the Dogs will drop to 5th, and the Swans will go back to 6th, and the Lions would go to 4th, right? So that means the Swans would play GWS. Now, if GWS give Carlton a bit of a hiding tonight, who wins next week? Swans or GWS?
Well, it's going to be a great game, isn't it? Battle of the Bridge.
Without the bridge.
Yeah, with no bridge. Battle of no bridge now.
Can you get somebody to bring in like a sort of a plasticine or just a fake one in the background?
Just an inflatable one.
There for sure. I'll take the Swannies for sure there.
Mm. Yeah, fair call.
They're not certainties, as we know. I think it's a pretty level game, and I think it's an absolute great first week of the finals. That's exactly what the AFL would want. So who knows? Who knows how that's going to roll out? But what about let's move on to the Bombers. The Bombers, Collingwood. Are Collingwood any chance to upset the Bombers? I know you're not real confident.
Yes, because of the game it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every bloody time I recall Essendon Collingwood, ever since I was a kid through to now, I have never, ever gone into a game against Collingwood thinking we'll smash them or that we'll win.
Yeah.
I've always felt like, we should win because, form's good. But every time that we play, and it's the same, and Aaron, you're probably a bit out of this a little bit with the whole Trinity, the old Holy Trinity. Every time Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon, Carlton, you always used to play each other. These games are always pretty close normally. Essendon, Collingwood, it'll be tough. I think, look, on form, and with Collingwood's team going out there tomorrow with a bunch of young fellas, young kids, if we're fair dinkum, we win this by 6 goals. But, pressure's a funny thing, especially if the Eagles get up and even a Freo. If both those teams get up, then look out. We're going to have to be absolutely on it because Collingwood will love nothing more than to completely ruin our fairy tale this year. And it's a fairy tale for us because we weren't expected to win more than 5 games. The fact you're now in the box seat to seal your own finals berth, it's great. Collingwood would love nothing more than to destroy that. I'd love it nothing more.
Cuz wasn't real keen on playing finals. He didn't want. I don't think he wanted to. Was that right?
No,
Cuz?
that's right. I remember that comment.
Look, what I said was, we made that. I made that comment before we beat the Western Bulldogs. So we beat them well, and then we beat up a side that we should have beaten up in the Gold Coast. So I didn't say that we shouldn't have made finals, or we didn't want to make finals. I didn't want to make finals and make up the numbers. As we said at the start of the potty today, I think we're hitting finals with a bit of form. On the Collingwood thing, though, like you, Lovey, I'm never confident playing Collingwood, but I'll disagree with you in terms of if West Coast do win and Freo find a way to win, I actually think this year, in most games, apart from maybe when Port got us when we lost a few injuries early on and Geelong gave us a bit of a hiding in the last sort of 5-10 minutes, or Richmond did as well in the last 5-10 minutes, we've actually handled pressure pretty well this year.
That includes
What's the expectations?
That includes 1 point losses to Carlton and Hawthorn too, mate. Look,
Well, Hawthorn was round 1, and when did Carlton beat us?
Oh, whenever.
Early on.
The thing is for me, whenever a team, and I absolutely hated what Matty Lloyd said 3 weeks ago about, look, I don't, when he said he'd prefer us and not make finals because it's not their time. That is the biggest load of shit. He's come from a winning culture when he was playing football. Now, for him to come out and say something like that, I think was just absolutely, it just fell into this whole, the cycle's got to work. You've got to get ready for when your time's come. That's a load of shit. If you're good enough to play finals, you play finals.
Yep.
That's what sport is. That's what competition is. If you're good enough, you aim for it, you get in there and you have a crack at it. And you know what? If we lose first week again, sure, all the bullshit comes to us. It's another 365 days for a final. I get all that. But you got to have the experience. You got to be able to get those kids in there and playing a finals game before, rather than going, we'll just pick and choose when we think it's our time. There's no such thing. Look at Melbourne. Melbourne would love to have played finals for ad infinitum the last 50-odd years since they've won a flag. They've never picked and choose. No one gets the right to pick and choose when they think they're right for finals. Just play it. Just get in there and play it. See what happens.
Anything can happen. And I think it's great. It's great experience. And speaking of experience, to get a young Collingwood list effectively almost playing their finals version tomorrow, anything could happen against the Bombers. Let's face it. There's Collingwood players there that are playing for their careers right now with a new potential new coach.
Pendles.
There's a lot on the line for Collingwood.
Who retires from Collingwood, you reckon?
Obviously, I only know Chris Mayne at the moment.
But I reckon
the others.
Jeremy Howard have to be a chance. I'm not saying it only because the reason I was going to say it, not because he's not a good player, but just the body. He's missed a fair bit of work over. Okay.
I think because they're such a young team, they've barely got anyone retiring.
Yeah. Levi Greenwood obviously retired during the year, a couple of months ago. What's your thoughts? Mason Cox, where do they go here?
Gone. It's been fun while it lasted.
There's been a lot of teams. Been a lot of teams that have waited too long to do the trade. And I think they might have missed him by a year. They should have offloaded him a year ago. And sadly his currency's dropped hugely now. So, but
you
looking at here, it's like he doesn't get any shorter. So, is there another club who would be your ideal club now that could utilise him?
So, who's in the premiership window needing a key forward for depth?
That's the question. Is that where you play him? Where do you play him? I know he's obviously lit up the final as a key forward.
Can't play ruck.
Yeah, he's not going to play ruck for sure. But is there another? We've seen coaches rebuild blokes and throw them back. You just don't know. So
he's not playing back. Yeah.
Who's okay? So talk of the premiership window. So let's go with say the current 8, and you might put say Freo.
Does Melbourne need him?
St Kilda into that.
Does Melbourne need him?
Well, who's he get a game ahead of?
Yeah.
Does Geelong need him?
Geelong are one of those teams that just utilises guys beautifully. So, other than probably Higgins that they brought in, but they haven't. He probably really hasn't had his chance, to be honest. But they are. Could they do with another big guy?
You know who could, and particularly if they think Tim English isn't quite up the physicality just yet. It's Dogs.
Yep. Well, I'd throw in GWS in a discussion. Mummy. Yeah, obviously as a drop back forward sometimes. How long can he hang around?
That young bloke for them looks all right though for GWS. Is it Briggs or Biggs or something like that?
Or you got Riccardi.
Just as young guys,
around.
Just as young guys, Melbourne has been one of the ultimate clubs that just decimates young guys and just pushes them too early. But in saying that, we've had 2 or 3 of those guys that have gone and become premiership players at other clubs, especially as ruckman, because we just haven't persisted long enough. I think Max Gawn's been our longest serving stay around big ruckman now that's half the reason he hung around was 2 Ricos. So I think they owed it to him.
But the reason why Melbourne are doing good with their list now because they've shown some patience for a change. They're just showing a lot more patience. I mean, if it wasn't for the patience, you already would have turfed a Vandenberg out the door as well.
Yep.
But he's a bloody good footballer. He's just been unlucky with a bit of injury. So
Yeah,
he could be a star for you still. You've been patient with him. It's been really good. Petrarca, let's be honest, I think you had to have some patience with Petrarca too.
Yep.
He's been in the system 8 years. This is his 8th season, isn't it? And this is
Yeah.
probably his 2nd or 3rd season where he's been an absolute star. So they take time, mate. And
they do.
Clubs that are just looking for the whole, almost a quick fix. I mean, Geelong do it really well, but too many clubs don't do it well enough. I think Essendon will show some patience over the years. I mean, they've signed up all these young blokes to play another 2 or 3 years with them. So I think
great signs.
Yeah,
and
they're
you've got
investing.
a young coach, as Dave's saying. Just dare to dream, boys. Get behind him. I know, Lovey, you're a little bit more upbeat. Cuz is 3/4 glass empty.
Mate, I'm
half full them out already.
And the quarter that's left is sour milk.
Mate, I'm the most biased and passionate Essendon supporter there is, and I'm wrapped up in
a bit of love, mate. Give him a bit.
Mate, I do. I give him plenty of love.
You stuck it into one of your heroes, Lloydie, for giving him nothing.
No, I
and telling
didn't.
him
He stuck it into Lloydie. I didn't stuck it into Lloydie. I didn't stick it into Lloydie.
I'll retract that one then. I'll give you that one, cuz. But
Lloydie,
one thing, mate. You just got to be up and about for him. Who doesn't want to sneak into a final and play a final?
Yeah, Lloydie made the comment the week before they beat the Doggies. Now their form up to there wasn't bad, but they lost. He made it on the Wednesday night before they played the Doggies.
Doesn't matter. Take it on. Fuck it. Take it on.
Yeah. And speaking of taking it on, I mean, look at the Demons. We haven't really talked to him that much about the Demons. Let's be honest. I've kind of sat there in the background, just letting a few things happen at the moment, and I've still got the lid very jammed shut. But as you know, cousin, I've mentioned it to you a few times. I just want to win the one final, and then we'll start to believe a little bit more. That first final is going to be so critical for us because there's obviously nervous boys there, nervous history. We just got to get that first game over the line.
I think a direct path into the prelim final would be best for you. So I think you get that. You win tonight. You beat a really good team tonight.
Yep.
Then whoever you play the following week in your first week, you win there. Geez, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourselves by having a home prelim final after that. Like you would just have to feel like, you know what, this has got to be a real good way, because having to punish yourself through a second week final to get to a prelim, that's what you did back in 2018, and it killed you by the time you got to the West Coast. So take the shortest route possible, and I reckon the D's can do it. I'm on them.
Yep.
I'm on them.
Bit more mature now. A few more games in those legs. Obviously, you get those players up around the 100 mark and 100 plus. That's a kind of sweet spot where some of those young blokes start really kicking in. But I've just been so proud of the really young guys that it's first and second season. And that's, they can be your little surprise packets, but they've been good and consistent over time.
Rivers has been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
He's been awesome.
Yep, there's been a few in that phase. I mean, Luke Jackson, just what an incredible kid. Everyone had cut their right hand off for him right now. And, obviously right up there with the King brothers.
Who's that other key defender that's coming after, what's his name? Escapes me.
Tyson Petty.
Yep.
Petty. Yeah, I think of the Orchard. Petty's.
Yeah, Harrison Petty's been an absolute jet too. He's been really good.
Yep.
Oh, it's getting dark, Eddie.
Yeah. And the other thing that you've done as well.
One more player that came in last week and snuck in, and I don't know, he's actually held his spot for this week is Smith, Sean Smith's son. He was unbelievable. He was, one of those players that just he was a little bit like Russell Robertson, tried to jump for everything early in his first few games, but now he's just come back and doing a finer role down back as well.
Yeah.
And look, I hope he holds his spot. So it's going to be interesting. There's a little bit of obviously bringing superstars back in. You just never know how they're going to click straight away. But look, it's pretty handy having McDonald back. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah,
look, the good thing is too,
it's just a structure thing for you, that one.
Yep.
When you're going as well as you are, and even like Essendon with hitting a bit of form, you bring young blokes in, and because they've been in the system, they're training with the blokes have been that they fit in and just play their role. Like talking of, like obviously spoke about Smith as a father-son, but a bloke I saw a bit of the game the other week, Brett Barry, who played for St Kilda.
Yep.
Who was, I think, at one stage one of the littlest blokes in the AFL or the VFL.
Yeah,
his son came in.
Yep.
Did a role. Didn't look overawed by the situation. Didn't look out of place. I think he got caught with the ball once, but that wasn't. I don't mind when a bloke does that when he's trying to take the game on and play the style they want to play. And
Who doesn't get caught with the ball?
In that position. Oh, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So just on that, do the Demons take it now? Do they take that minor premiership?
Yep.
I think tonight's because I think you haven't got the best record down there, have you?
Well, we're still scarred by what happened years ago down there. We won a game or two down there not too long ago. So I think we go down there a lot more confident than we've ever been before, for sure. As you expect, being one of the top
your
teams.
structure without Tom Stewart hurts them. So I think you should win it.
Yep. Yeah, well, exciting times. And then let's go to the Battle of the Spoon, Adelaide North. I think you almost can't split them. They're going to start.
What list is in a better place, you reckon, Lovey?
Oh, it's a really good question, actually. I suspect North, but I reckon we're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to finish in the best shape compared to a few other teams above them. But I think both those lists going into next year are probably better than I hate to say this, but they've been shit for a decade. Gold Coast. Where's Gold Coast's list going? I mean, this is now how many hidings in the last month? It's Gold Coast have won 7 games this year. Yep.
So what do you think?
To me, North has the best list out of those 3 clubs.
Yep. So what do we think the Gold Coast need to do? And as much as I don't want to say changing the rules, but how can we allow or make or let the Gold Coast retain the quality that they've got? Like we spoke about Tom Lynch before. We spoke about 2 metre Peter at Essendon. And there's many more who have gone to other clubs. Look at the Richmond Premiership teams. They're full of Gold Coast.
Yeah.
I won't say rejects, but blokes who have been poached for whatever reason.
I'm not sure it's a player thing. I'm not sure it's anything like that. How do you go from being a 4-game win team last year, winning 7 games this year? So on paper, that looks like actual progress. But your last month would actually indicate you're probably the worst team in the comp again. I mean, how does that even compute? And to me, that is a cultural issue that they've never, ever been able to solve in that 10 years of the club. And they never will. The reason they can't is because they don't retain players enough for long enough periods, whereas GWS have been able to do that, whereas Brisbane have been able to do that over the years. My question is Gold Coast even a destination place for football? Does the Gold Coast itself actually want football? If you want a solution to it, send Gold Coast down to Tasmania. That's what should happen. Done. Revoke the licence and get it down south.
Is the issue, as you just touched on there, though, mate, is the issue the location? Now, as
100%.
Either back me up or disagree here, but the Gold Coast Titans have been okay from a basketball perspective. Did they try the Gold Coast as well, a basketball team as well at one stage?
They did have a Gold Coast, yeah.
So I know this off by heart, Glenn. I know this off by heart, mate. They've tried basketball there. It's failed miserably. They've tried NSL soccer there. It's failed miserably. They've tried A-League soccer there. It's failed miserably. They've tried AFL there. It's failed miserably when the Brisbane were at Carrara. They had to shift into Brisbane, right? They've tried it again. You're in the middle of a rugby league heartland. Yeah. Now, GWS have a shit ton of money pumped into them, and they're still breeding from the success that the initial squad gave to them. They're still hanging off the back end of that. Gold Coast never had that success. They never had the same draft concessions that GWS had. So they were always going to be set up for failure. And that's the AFL's fault. So what you have here is if you've even got the Gold Coast the Gold Coast Titans struggling to win Gold Coast residents over as a thing that they want to follow and all the rest of it. What hope have you got of the Suns actually being successful up there? It's just the infrastructure's not up there for it. The AFL, they still live in portables up there as a training base, as a facility.
Well, but
it's a disgrace,
and
mate.
this is mate, I agree. It's a black hole for sport in Australia, I think. But that said, they being the people who make these decisions, consider that corridor, for want of a better word, a growth area. To me, from a sport, I'm not saying that there's a lot of people from other parts of the country go there, whether it's retirement, whether it's change of lifestyle, whatever. But from a sporting perspective, it's a black hole. And a lot of comps have poured big money in there, and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah, look, I think they've always wanted that second team there, obviously in Queensland. I don't know if they're just going to keep persisting with it. Yeah, I think they are, and obviously it's going to be at Tassie's detriment at the moment. But let's see. Obviously, they copped a whacking today, which it's a dead rubber anyway. But they kicked 6 goals, 13. That's
what?
Not
that's
where
the
you
thing.
want to be.
I actually suspect that is, if it hasn't already, it'll cost a coach a job.
Well, just on that
today,
does he lose his job today?
Yes. If Gold Coast are fair income, they sack half their playing list and just go again. They have to, and they have to get. And I feel sorry for Stuart Dew. I felt sorry for Rodney Eade. I felt sorry for Guy McKenna. The investment they put into the property of that place, the investment they put into that team has been an absolute disaster from the AFL. And they have not once assisted a coach up in that team the same way they assisted Leon Cameron, the same way they assisted Lee Matthews
Sydney.
with Kohler, with Paul Roos at Sydney with Kohler.
Yep.
Gold Coast have not received any of those sort of concessions at all. Now, Stewie Dew, I still think can coach, but he's going to have to, I think for his own benefit, he should walk away after today, actually. He should actually resign before they push him, go back to a good club, become an assistant, and relaunch again in 3 to 5 years' time. If you're going to get this team successful, you need to get a proper coach in there who will bring his own team in there, and you say, right, you give us a soft cap of X amount that's 15, 20% above every other team, and we'll make sure it works.
So, mate, I agree, but how do you reckon that will go? And then we know what it's like. Let's then look at, we know how strong, whether you like him or not, how strong their CEO is. He flies the bat for them all the time. How will that go?
That dickhead, he's more of a liability for that club than anyone else in the club. So he doesn't realise it, but yes, you have to put up with him. So you know what?
Does it reek of a L? Well, how much do you want, Clarko? How much do you want?
I think so. But
okay, so it's not Clarko. We agree that it might be Clarko.
He's made it pretty clear he's not coaching next year.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident he's not going to coach next year. So that rules Clarko out for 12 months.
He made it pretty clear he was not leaving Hawthorn over 5 weeks ago. Remember that comment? He said he made it pretty clear he wasn't going to leave Hawthorn either.
Yeah, but he was backstabbed by Jeff Kennett, mate. Jeff Kennett's been after him for 10 years.
Not the first bloke in Victoria to get backstabbed by Jeff Kennett, but that's another discussion for another podcast.
Yeah, it is one for another day. Any chance, Buckley?
Sorry, mate. Kane Corns reckons Buckley's going to Carlton.
Oh, I don't see that happening. I think there's a massive culture clash on that one.
Yeah.
They couldn't take another Collingwood coach, could they?
You know what? If Buckley is where he is in life, a shift to the Gold Coast might be good for him.
I think up there with Buckley, obviously a Brisbane favourite son back in the day. You've still got him
for a year.
He'd bring his own team.
It's not going to be
only there for a year, mate. He's South Australian born.
But here's my thing. He would bring his own team. So he would bring his own team of assistants. I guarantee you Robert Harvey and Sando would go with him.
Would go with him.
And everyone forgets that Bucks took these guys to a 2018 grand final, 2019 prelim, which they actually should have won. And they still played finals last year.
Yep.
So for me, and the guy's only 47.
And
he should be in the game. I think he should be in the game next year, and I reckon Gold Coast would be good for him.
And he's a strong-willed person. He's like that ilk. Like you look at those blokes, Hurd, Voss, Buckley. Some people call it arrogance, but it's that strong will, their belief in what they know, and they're good at getting their message across. And players, for whatever reason, play for them.
So you raised the issue of the CEO before Cuz.
Yep.
I reckon, given the caliber of coaches they've had over the years there, his ability to talk over them and just run his own show has been pretty easy for him to do, right?
Yep.
Now, if he gets a Nathan Buckley in with his big squad of guys that have been there and done that and know how to work it, do you honestly think that CEO is going to treat a guy like Nathan Buckley the same way? So you solve that issue on its own. Buckley will start bringing a proper culture into that club.
Look, and I think Tony Cochran, I don't know Tony Cochran, but I suppose I'm not saying that Stewie Dew is not a strong individual, but I suppose Cochran has felt every time they go to the table with the other 17 CEOs, whatever, presidents, he feels he's got to push the Gold Coast barrel, so to speak. So I'll give him that thing. But as you said, if they get a Buckley, and I think Buckley would be a good fit, but to me, and when you get to it was like Sheedy at Essendon for so many years. Was he the right fit to go to GWS? He probably was, because he was the greatest AFL salesman at the time. So we're going into rugby league heartland. Shit, we didn't go that well when we tried it back in 1981 with Sydney. How's it going to go this time? Well, let's wheel out the showman. I think getting Clarkson up there, that's why I say he'd be better than Buckley. I think Buckley's a strong-willed man who would get his people, but I don't think he sells the game that well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but to be honest, Gold Coast don't need anyone to sell the game up there anymore. You're not going to sell the game. The only way you sell the game...
Is Mark Evans still involved at the Gold Coast? Or has he gone back to the
AFL? He would be if Clarko went up there, because they're best mates. Yeah. So my thing with the Gold Coast, I don't need a showman. They're not selling the show because they're not winning games of football. They need a coach up there that knows how to win games of footy. Stuart Dew, unfortunately, didn't know how to do that as a coach. Guy McKenna, unfortunately, didn't know how to do that as a coach. Rodney Eade, interesting. I think there was a bit of a culture issue there, and I don't think Rocket particularly got on well with the committee and the board there. That's fine. But Nathan Buckley just would take no prisoners, and he would set it up the way he wants it, and he would tell Tony Cochran that is so. And I think Cochran would fall into line with someone that's got as much of a standing in the game as Buckley does compared to most others. And I actually think Buckley, not only as a player and a coach, has done it before compared to Clarko. Clarko, brilliant coach, just he played his 50-odd games of AFL football. Buckley's got how many played and how many coached. I mean, you can't argue too much with what that bloke could provide.
And Clarko was famous for one game that we all watched late night one night. Ian Aitken still won't. They reckon Ian Aitken, that got a bit. There was lawsuits and everything about that. Ian Aitken still to this day has side effects from the king yet from Clarko.
And I can't underestimate the role that academies have played, coming up with like Sydney with their academy in arguably an NRL heartland as well. And that's the kind of thing that I think definitely would be a massive advantage to the Gold Coast. They've got to start breeding their own kids and dragging them early from rugby, not trying to pull them too late and trying to do the Carmichael Hunt thing. Which obviously was a media stunt at the time, and he played minimal games obviously before he left, or it got pushed out. So, I think Buckley could be a really pioneer and a leader in that space, but he's got to be a long deal. Like it's got to be big bucks. It's got to be AFL certified in respect of similar to what they did with Roos, and what they've done with everyone else that's coached up that way. You got to throw the big bucks. And will Clarko do it? Obviously with the money. I don't think it's about the money with Clarko now. I think he needs the breather, and then he'll pick one of the next ones.
With
But
the
I think
Buckley one,
I think he'd love a challenge though, Clarko. I think he's that type of person
Yeah, sure.
who would love
but he's going to take the year off, mate. He will take the year off before he coaches up there. For me, if the AFL were willing to try and get Buddy Franklin to play at the GWS for 9 years, and it was funny how that ended up, they should be willing to stump up the same sort of contract for Nathan Buckley to stay up there at the Gold Coast for 9 years and say, right, this is your baby for 8, 9 years, make it work.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, then you fold the fucker. It's done.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at the current situation with clubs that are either about to lose their coach as the Jungle Drums are beating. So we've got, I'll tell you who I think and see if you blokes agree. So Collingwood, I think Pike will get the nod there.
Good call.
I think the Gold Coast will hold off, and if Clarko's not doing a year, or having a year off, I'll get him next year. Who else we got? Carlton, I think dog act, and he handled it very poorly, but I think Roscoe will get that job there.
Yep.
It's like when someone goes, I'm not going to be racist, but I hate and then pick off things. The more he spoke, I kept wanting to say, no, stop. Caro, ask him another question. Talk about the way he's digging
and
a hole.
Just on that with Carlton, do you think Teague's been harshly done by?
Oh,
100%.
Pretty good winning record. I think they've lynched him way too early, haven't they?
Yep. You've gone through 2 COVID seasons. You tried to pull up a complete hot mess after Brendan Bolton.
Yep.
That's all he's ever had to be able. That's all he's ever been allowed to deal with. He hasn't been allowed to appoint his own team and assistants. He could have pulled blokes from anywhere in the AFL spectrum that knew and understood the game.
Yep.
This has just been a political shitball for 2.5 years, and unfortunately, it's great to see again from our perspective on the outside another club imploding on this stuff. But Teague has been horribly hard done by. And I suspect Ross Lyon won't be there for more than 2 or 3 years, particularly if they're still not playing finals next year.
What about one of what's been happening's favourite sons from earlier in the piece, who's down at the Blues at the moment, AFLW super coach Daniel Harford. Any chance of being in the mix? I think he's pretty content coaching the young
I thought that might have
ladies.
been a segue to bring him on board for a chat.
I don't know.
Well, you never know.
When we talk about AFLW, after Cuzzo's comments before about females, I think we just need to be really careful. So,
that's not what. No.
So, I don't think Daniel Harford will.
He's got something to say.
All I said was that Daisy Pearce has a very pronounced forehead. That's all. I've got pronounced ears.
And you said that she was fat.
No, I didn't. I said she's big enough to look after herself. That's what I said.
Okay. A little bit harsh. You just
that's very harsh. Hey, so I reckon,
let's go back and record all the lovely comments
Daniel
you said about me, gents.
Yeah, no,
big shorts.
So I think
shorts
Daniel
than any
Harford.
bets.
Hey, listen,
bigger shorts than any bets.
Glenn, adults are talking. So I think Daniel Harford. I think Daniel Harford was quite happy to stay in AFLW. I think he sees all this stuff. Why would you want to go in there?
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't throw yourself in the fire, mate. He's seen the bonfire build already, and
mate, he's a very astute man. He's not silly,
and he's got a very astute runner too.
Pick your time, but now's not it.
No.
Okay, one thing we want to finish on. I think that's enough footy for us, boys. We're going to spark the next debate that we're going to talk about. Not today, but we're going to finish on this, and we're going to talk about this in the next episode. We've done the pickled onions. We're going to revisit, which we did touch on this, but we're going to make more of a chat about it, and who knows, it might turn into the next challenge, the great Dim Sim debate. So looking forward to that one, boys. We're going to finish on that, and we're going to give you a week to next. I wouldn't say a week. We're going to try and do another show, obviously soon during these lockdown periods, and we're probably going to try and do 2 a week if we can make that work. I've got two locked in, but 2 very exciting guests coming up in the next few weeks, and I'm just going to leave that little fishing rod out there and let it drop. But very different to what we've had before. So that'll be something different as well. So I just want to finish off with Polyman, one of our good friends, George Carroll Wilson, has put this together. We touched on this last night. It's on at 8 o'clock tonight. A live stream. It's on Instagram. These great guests and friends of his are raising money for the issue in Afghanistan. If anyone could throw a few bucks this way, while if you're not into footy, which Sarah Burke, I know you'll tune into the Polyman discussion.
Cheapest.
And we look
no pressure to donate, Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. And Dave's in for the Dimmy debate next week. So put your thinking caps on about the great dim sims. There'll be a few questions. How you like them cooked? Which way you eat them? What's the sauce?
How many?
And how many in a sitting? What's the size? What's the size of the dim sim? So don't spoil it. Question. Don't spoil it.
Just a quick question. What's your best dim sim sitting? What have you done in your best sitting? How many have you knocked over?
We'll do that. We'll do that when the time comes.
Cuz. There's another question. Write it down, Cuz.
We'll do that when the time comes.
Hello, Lucas. Can I bring my younger son on?
If you were listening, that's what was said.
If you tell me for dinner, what we're having for dinner.
Hang on a minute. I've got hair. I can't.
Glenn, if you tell me what we're having for dinner, then I can.
Lucas wants to know what's for dinner, boys. What can I suggest? Hang on a minute.
KFC.
Get on the dim sims, mate. There'll be nothing.
Get on the dimmies, mate.
Get on the dimmies. Cook them up, mate. Steam or fried.
Lovely.
We look forward to having Lucas as part of the discussion next week on the greatest dim sim.
He'd probably provide more input.
Fried or steamed, he goes. He said steamed.
Don't spoil it, Cuz.
You're already ruining it, Cuz.
See you, Cuz. Don't spoil it. See you next week, Cuz.
We're done.
See you, lovey.
See you, mate.